Ooh, good question. Are we alone in the universe? That's a great question. Personally, I don't know, obviously, but the thing you have to think about when you think about things like galaxies and things on a large scale, your intuition is to scale your perception of space without scaling your perception of time. And this is a mistake because, of course, space and time scale together because the speed of light's constant. That sort of implies a certain aspect ratio to reality. And this is why, if you think about small things like atoms, they seem to go really, really fast or rapidly or quickly periodically. And galaxies seem to be very still and never really do anything. But if you scale space and time together, galaxies sort of dance in the sky and atoms slow down enough to be studied. So the world becomes a much more accessible place. But from that perspective, if you imagine galaxies, they're sort of these rapidly swirling things, and little solar systems with civilizations would be coming and going in the blink of an eye. Um, just sort of, I don't know. It's weird to think about because the time scale, I think, is what's prohibitive when it comes to ever meeting another civilization. But hopefully they're out there. All right. What do you think about strong AI research? Oh, I think it's amazing. I think what Google did recently with their DeepMind or AlphaGo program is crazy. And what's amazing about it is that they don't program it; they just teach it how to learn, and then it looks at these massive data sets and it learns how to do things that once they thought that computers couldn't do, that only humans could do these kinds of things, like play Go, for instance. So, and that came much quicker than anyone thought. I mean, people thought that was going to be like 10 years away, and then it happened this year, a few months ago. So I am very excited to see where AI goes in the next few years. I think that people underestimate its potential. I think that within 5 years we're going to be blown away by what we have. I don't expect like full human sentience anytime soon, though. But who knows? We might the singularity might be closer than we think. Um, let's see. Do you think humans will crack the secret to immortality and reverse aging in our lifetime? No, I don't think so. The human body is too complex, and entropy is too powerful a force in this universe. Hopefully, though. If P versus NP problem isn't solved, does that mean we won't have true super AI? I doubt it. I mean, right now we don't know if the P versus NP problem is solved, and yet here we are, and it's very unlikely that human beings are the physical limit of intelligence in the universe. If intelligence is in fact a spectrum, in other words, not binary, not on or off, but rather sort of a spectrum, like maybe you have a rock on one side, then like a snail, then like a mouse, or like a dog, and then a human, then there's no reason to assume that humans are at the top. I mean, that's sort of anthropogenic bias, I guess. In other words, like the truth of the P versus NP conjecture doesn't really, in my opinion, have an effect on the potential upper bound of intelligence. So, who knows? We'll see. Do you think the space elevator is science fiction or plausible at this point? It is pure science fiction. I've looked into it and it just doesn't work. So what people do is they imagine, okay, so you can have a mass floating at a geostationary orbit, so that as the Earth goes around, the mass goes around, and then the tension in the cable gives you like a space elevator. But if you look at the requirements, the tensile strength you need to do that, it's just not possible. Now, some people will look at a carbon nanotube and say, oh, well, this has the tensile strength needed to do it. You could theoretically do it. Problem is not really, because if you want to put a bunch of carbon nanotubes together into something as thick and as heavy as what you would need for a space elevator, you just can't do that without sacrificing the material properties. Carbon nanotubes are like spider webs in the sense that they're very strong for their size, but good luck scaling them up. Now there are other space elevator designs as well, like having a sort of a rotating thing on a string, and it's like it stays up with centrifugal motion or something. But again, and there are some people who will argue that that's more feasible. I just don't see it happening. But I could be wrong. We'll see. All right. What is the #1 book you recommend to others? That's a good question. I'll have to think about that. Yeah, I'll have to think about that one. Let's see.